Our paper draws attention to the tobacco companies drawing on the mystique of Indianness. We explore how the tobacco industry misappropriated American Indian culture. In Indian country, traditional tobacco is used for spiritual, ceremonial, and cultural purposes. For many American Indians, tobacco plays a central and crucial role in our way of life. It is important for us to understand the distinction between traditional tobacco and commercial manufactured tobacco. Commercial tobacco that we all know and see is the one that causes death and disease, whereas traditional tobacco dates back to the beginning of time and is tied to many creation stories within our American Indian communities. Traditional tobacco has and is used to honor and welcome guests, communicate with the Creator, cleansing, prayers, and offer to elders, among many other uses. There are strict protocols when using traditional tobacco. When it comes to cultivating and harvesting the plants, there are songs, stories, and teachings. There are U.S. federal government policies in place that forbid American Indians to use traditional tobacco out in the open, among many other things. It wasn't until the American Indian Religious Freedom Act of 1978 that we were able to practice our spirituality out in the open. Due to historical trauma and other challenges, there are high prevalence rates of commercial tobacco use. However, traditional tobacco practices were maintained and continue to play a central role in many of our lives and also help in addressing the harms of commercial tobacco. Our results found several general patterns in the tobacco industry documents. The earliest documents that we examined, which span from roughly the 1930s to the 1970s, included native cultural symbols and imagery to sell commercial tobacco products. Many of these documents include offensive stereotypes and harmful depictions of Native peoples and traditions. These documents clearly demonstrated a connection between tobacco and many Native cultures, but did not explore this connection beyond commercializing it for profit. Documents ranging from approximately the 1980s through the 1990s began to include connections to the historical context of traditional tobacco among many Native cultures. The documents from this time period seem to reflect changing cultural norms and respect towards Native peoples. The most recent documents, which build on what we were seeing in the 80s and 90s but continued into at least the early 2000s, promoted tobacco as natural and treated their use of American Indian culture with a sense of reverence. This culminated with the emergence of the Santa Fe Natural Tobacco Company and their product, Natural American Spirit. Although many brands of commercial tobacco have used American Indian imagery and culture to justify their existence and sell products, the product, Natural American Spirit, stands alone in exploiting culture by explicitly connecting traditional use with the commercial tobacco products they sell. Our study demonstrated that the tobacco industry has used American Indian imagery and symbols in its branding. It has portrayed harmful stereotypes in its advertising and has exploited the sacred relationship with traditional tobacco. The industry capitalized on the connection between Native peoples and traditional tobacco, using it to validate the creation and existence of an industry that specifically markets a deadly commercial product. This commodification of sacred tobacco and other cultural objects misrepresents cultural practices that are at the very core of values and belief systems for many American Indian communities. Our study findings can inform efforts to counter tobacco industry influence as part of a comprehensive approach to addressing commercial tobacco use. Such efforts, embedded within a culturally sensitive and community-driven framework, can promote health and healing. For more information, please visit clearwaymn.org.